Good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Young. I'm often asked many times to talk about online retailing or retailing in general. And this is an area that I've done a lot of work over my 25 years in corporate finance. So it's an area that I'm very familiar with in terms of what's happened in terms of the trends. So my agenda is going to talk about key players. I'll talk about consumer spending. I'll talk about outlook, and I'll talk about kind of the pressures facing e-commerce. So let me give you the high-level view of online retailing. It's become very, very complex over the last decade or so. Ever since we've become more and more online activity versus on the mobile devices, whether that's an iPhone or an iPad, we're seeing more and more people trying to go online to do business. Now that's become a very, very big area. It started with B2B, which is business to business. It's now really expanded wholeheartedly across all segments, from government to consumer spending. And it's a critical aspect that you need to bear in mind. It's going to continue to grow that way. More and more is going online. So basically, in a nutshell, most retailers have some sort of online presence through their website that you can order. That's critical. Second thing is, the old era where you could have people doing multi-level marketing plans in terms of using people to sell products just will not work in this era. The complexity of the business models, complexity of the sites management and brand recognition just will not allow you to do anything with multi-level marketing methods anymore. It's a dead area. It's no longer effective. So if you see areas where you're going to be pulled into multi-level marketing, I would avoid them like the common plague because they're no longer effective. The second thing is, if you're going to end up creating a site to promote your own goods on site, then you're going to have to link up to the major carriers, which is eBay or Amazon, to get that visibility. Now, the key thing with those sites is, especially with Amazon, you need to build up reputation rapport. You can easily be removed from that site. You may not get the same visibility, so it's up to you to market yourself on those sites. The second thing is that you're seeing happen in the overall employment area is you're seeing less and less retailing jobs required. Why? Because more and more is going online, less and less is coming in as what we call as traffic, store traffic, and you're seeing less of that. The other thing that will come into play as well overall is government taxation. There used to be the old philosophy of nexus and all that. You're not going to see that anymore. You're going to see people trying to get a hold of that. I pulled up a couple things here to show you Amazon and eBay because they're the biggest ones, so you're going to see a little bit difference in terms of the margins here. Amazon, because it's the way that the site is run, their margins tend to be very, very tight as compared to eBay. But if you look at the overall profitability of these companies in terms of expenses, in terms of how they operate, they typically have very thin net income margins, so they don't have a lot of room in terms of control. So they're really big into expense management. They're very big in pushing things in terms of developments of their sites. That's critical when you look at this financial statement. I wanted to pull up U.S. retail sales because they drive 2/3 of the GDP. They're going to drive that, and they've got a pretty much emphasis on e-commerce. So you're seeing more and more of that grow that area, and I wanted to kind of show you and highlight that here. Canadian retail sales too as well. I wanted to show you the trend there in terms of where we are now. It's growing at about 1.5% to 2.5% a year. Now, let's talk about 2016 quickly. There's 5 areas that I picked here. The U.S. market seems to adopt more mobile devices, so we're seeing growth in terms of e-commerce. They're going to count about 22% of all transactions. So you saw that retail number where we saw about $5 trillion. About $1.2 trillion of that is going to be e-commerce directed. Okay. We're seeing growth markets like Mexico and Asia start to pick up as more and more those markets adopt to mobile devices. They're going to go more to e-commerce sites. So you're going to see more pressure in that. Same with Canada. You're starting to see that. We've now finally adjusted to e-commerce. We're now starting to see our growth pattern is picked up because we were a laggard behind the UK and the US in terms of e-commerce, but you're going to see a pickup and an uptick there. Europe, again, is showing some growth, but again, it's more of a mature market, so you're likely going to still see more and more devices there. So this kind of gives you an idea where the focus is going to be. Same with Asia with the devices too. It's very critical as you move forward, as you're looking at your supply chains, because some of you work in distribution, reselling, or even in the manufacturing side, but your end product goes to a specific customer segment. So it's really critical to understand that supply chain and understand the customer market. The other problem that's coming with business is the agility side. They're going to be looking at more big data. They're going to be looking at more ways to understand consumer trends to better respond to market conditions. That's real critical if you're coming in there. This is going to scare people off a lot, and it should be, to think when you go to your business model, you should think very clearly of the 4 P's, and that is price, promotion, product, and placement. If you're coming in with a new product and all this, then you don't have that recognition. So you're going to have to look at ways to leverage channels to kind of get that exposure. And that's where it's going to be critical to understand your entrance point. And the reason why I want to make this is it's very tough now and getting even tougher to break into the retail market because of the complexity. So the reason why I say that, the expectations is you can come in and make a big buck isn't really realistic in terms of your overall plan. And that's what I wanted to highlight here. Thank you.